Okay, so this video is for my friend Amy, who is having trouble with hydrangeas, and while I am no expert at all, I have been painting hydrangeas here recently and I wanted to show her what I did. So I started out with the vase, which is just gray, and then I started with the red hydrangea, little teeny tiny brush, lots of little dots, and do not feel like you cannot use a paper towel and pick up any of the paint if you get too much on there. But generally, well, see, there I am. But generally, I start out really, really lightly, and I add more and more and more as time goes by. I started to speed this up, but I decided not to. I did trim some of the extra out of me, grabbing more paint and stuff, but I wanted you to see that it does take a while to add on the different layers of color. I try to turn the brush in different ways so that you can see the little petals growing in different directions. And I like a very, very fine brush. And I like to add just a little bit of water and kind of blend the colors as you go. So now I am adding a very, very light green, and this is to make the white hydrangea, and I like using a green that's like that kind of yellowish green, and as you add more in and then add a little bit of water, it kind of shows a white flower that you can't see, if that makes any sense. I think the white hydrangeas are the hardest ones for me to paint, but I like this method better than the ones of trying to make a lot of petals and make them big. I don't know why, I just like the tapping technique. So now we're going to start with the blue, and again, I like to start with the lightest color of blue and then just add a darker color as I go. Lots and lots of tapping and just adding more in while still trying to leave some little spaces of white. So now obviously I'm going back in and doing more red, and sometimes what I'll do is add a little bit of another color to the red to make it a little brighter or a little deeper. I'll add a little bit of black or brown or maybe even some orange to kind of brighten it up. And honestly, this one's not my favorite red that I've ever done, but it does show you the technique. Sorry for the dogs barking. Now I'm going back in with a little bit of a darker green and just to add more depth. a little bit of a darker blue, more tap taps. I like to add a little bit of darker around the edge, which I was just doing with the blue. And, you know, if you don't like something, it's really easy to just pat it with a paper towel and pull it back up, or you can add a little bit of water and pick it back up. I really think that's one of my favorite things about watercolor. So when I add green in, I like to use a medium green and then come back in with darker green to add some depth. You can add a lot more leaves if you want to. I like adding the same amount of stems as I have flowers. So probably should have done more flowers to have more stems. But anyway, and then I like more leaves. I like to add different leaves and just to give it variety. Adding in a little bit of light blue for some water and just kind of smudging it around. Lots of water helps with this part. And I had to go back in and see if I could just add a little more depth into that red flower, because sometimes you're just not happy with stuff, right? I really tried not to edit this part too much because I wanted you to see that I do add stuff in and then smudge out some of it. It's just part of my process. A few more dark spots of green for more depth. I did come back in later and add gray for shadows to kind of make the table a little bit, but it got edited out, so my apologies.